You mentioned too that like you guys like to get out and hike because of wellness and health stuff.
Yeah.
I know since we talked last, you were at that point really focusing a lot on photography. You were still hunting, but I think maybe like taken the next level on it all.
Yeah.
Have your workouts changed in that aspect of trying to be not only chasing the sheep and not chasing them, but just going up and shooting them, and then also hunting?
But like actually hunting and like carrying out a fucking elk head or elk leg or something like that. Yeah, I think at first it was more me like just trying to be I mean, I've always been fairly physically fit, you know, being in the Marine Corps and all that. I mean, don't get me wrong, I have my cupcake times, you know what I'm saying? But for the most part, my physical fitness, I think, has always been like at least in the top like 10 things on my to-do list in my head. And I think the Marine Corps had a lot to do with that. Mm-hmm. But after experiencing like maybe the year that I had the podcast with you last.
Okay.
That hunting season. So was that the year before last, I think. It definitely, I started working on more like actual like weightlifting. When originally it was just like, I'm just going out in the woods. I don't mind being like skinny, you know, like just being thin, if you want to call it. And, you know, obviously there's at some point, you know, you start to look at yourself and you're like, dude, I look like I'm sick. Like I look like I'm sickly, you know, because of all the mountain climbing and, you know, and again, it's like, I don't know, priorities change and you're just like, oh, I don't care really about lifting weights because I've been going to the gym my whole fucking life. So it's like, how many more times can I do bench press? Like I'm so fucking bored of it. You know what I mean? But so I go through those spurts, but since then, the physical fitness part has been at least a little bit more of a driver. Like, okay, I need to like, and then I'm also almost 40. So it's in the same time, I'm also like, okay, also for the longevity of me doing this, I also need to be like physically fit, like actually work out, you know? And last year I carried out a buddy's elk. I helped him or not last year, the year before last, the year that I talked to you, we had this last podcast. I carried a buddy's elk out and I was like, okay, yeah, that's a lot heavier than I was expecting it to be. You know, I mean, it wasn't deboned. So I know that, you know, deboning it would take some weight off it. But that was the 1 year, that was my second year of archery elk hunting. And I was like, oh shit, yeah, that's heavy as fuck. You know, so now I have like a pack trainer that I use. And then that's just for carrying weight. But then also at the gym, just like, you know, there's a lot to be said about eating healthy. You know, I very much, and Nicole is too, which makes it super easy. You know, we try to eat a lot of whole foods, you know, eggs. I mean, eggs fucking like live in we had chickens at one point a long time ago. This is years ago, but you know, eggs are very much a staple part of my diet and, you know, whole food in general, chicken, steak, ground beef, obviously the animals that we take, you know, we're eating that shit. We had fucking deer. We had like Chipotle bowls last night for dinner, but like with deer. So eating right, but then also working out, you know, and then I kind of do like this bulk thing right before elk hunting season, like around August, I really start to fucking eat more. And like, as I'm working out, like I kind of like bulk up because the amount of calories that I burn, you know what I mean? Over the entire hunting season. I mean, I'm burning like almost 5,000 calories a day. And that's like what I'm logging on my watch. That's not even me like being like, you know, what my basal metabolic rate, like what my body uses to just stay alive. We're not even talking about that, you know, because your body burns calories as you sit on the couch. It'll burn like 1,500 calories, obviously depending on body weight and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, so I tend to eat a lot more in the August because now I know like the energy has to be there, you know, and pretty much by the end of September when I shot that bull and they couldn't find him, I mean, I was hurting, you know what I mean? Every day was like, I just take as much fucking food as I can. And I don't give a, you know, everything from like, I was bringing steak from leftovers and from the day before at home and like, you know, but really now knowing what I need physically to be able to do it, the actual like working out aspect of it, way more so than just walking up a mountain and taking pictures of sheep is much more a part of my life now. Because it's, I mean, for 3 months out of the year, whether it's myself or now Nicole, or even my buddies that are hunting with me, like it's like the most important time of the year for me. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, the whole year I feel like is like me working it back up to this, like, you know, 60 days of hunting, you know, at least going into November. So that's kind of how I view it. Like I'm doing this, you know, so I could be prepared for this, because this is really all that I care about is these like 3 months. But yeah.
I think it takes all year too. It's so much easier to keep it up here instead of like 2 months before trying, because good luck.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. This is, especially where I go to. Like that one day that I took Nicole into that one area, I kind of was like, are you sure you're good? Because like, let's make sure you have some food. Let's bring an extra layer because it snows up there sometimes. So it's very much like, that is not an area where, like I think I said earlier, I wouldn't take somebody over there that wasn't physically fit and like wasn't mentally strong. Because when you get out there and you realize how fucking far it is, and then you realize like, if you shot an elk in here, what it would be like to get it out, like, fuck, man, like you are like, you it's going to hurt. This is going to hurt, and you have to be okay with that. Because if you're not, then you shouldn't be there, but they're there, but
there's something wrong with me. Cause I'm like,
you're like, yes, I know. Yes. This is great. It sounds fantastic. Where is this place? Well, see, and that's like the hunter mindset though, cause like a lot of hunters, whether you have an easy hunt or a hard hunt, have the experience of knowing that, like, especially public land hunters, that not every time is going to be successful. So like, how much are you willing to put your nose against the grindstone? Because at some point you start to feel like, fuck, like I'm going to quit. Like I'm going to stop coming here. But it's knowing that it's there. You just have to fucking give it the full Monty. Like you got to give it the full 9 yards. And it's the hunters that are like, okay with that pain are the ones that make it. I don't want to say too much, but like, for all the other ones out there that are just, shooting shit, like that's great. It looks good on your wall. But I mean, do I view you as a hunter? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say it like that, and that might ruffle some fucking feathers, but I mean, like, is it though?
Get it.
Yeah. I mean, is it? Yeah. So, there is that aspect of it. And I think that's what keeps true hunters as true hunters, and then people that are trophy hunters as trophy hunters. You know what I mean? It definitely draws the line in there for sure. Like, I would hope people see it that way, but I mean, in the end, it's like, there's always going to be that kind of like funny line. You know what I mean? Because it's like, you don't want to offend somebody by saying, bro, like, fucking stop. Like, come over here where it's real and let's see how you do. I'm going to say this, but I'm going to use it very broadly. I have so many times just wanted to like go on my Instagram and call out like 10 fucking people and be like, I will take you with me. I will take you there. I want to see if you're that fucking good. I want to know if you're that good, because I know the difference between like walking onto somebody's fucking ranch and like running into a fucking elk. And I know the difference between like somebody that's not doing that, and I think the problem with a lot of people, and this is where, like you said, I wonder if people can tell the difference. See, I don't know, because I have seen a lot of people, fucking go fucking, go all fucking goo over some fucking dude. And I'm telling you right now, he's not hunting the way you think he is. A few dudes, and dudes that I could name off right now that you would be like, no fucking way. And I can tell you right now, because of what I do now, filming hunts and stuff like that, it ain't that way.
No, and I've had a few other people that are in the industry tell me the same thing. Even
there's like 10 people that I would just fucking be like, come here, I'll take care of it. I want to see if you're that good. Show me you're that good. Let me show me that you bow an elk every year. Show me. Because I see it.
Like, really speaking to, like we talked about at the beginning, like the blue collar guys. Yeah. I know so many people feel that frustration.
Yeah. Those are fucking hunters. Those are your hunters. Those dudes that are out there fucking working, whether they're getting on the fucking tree stand at 3 in the afternoon. I don't care what fucking hunting you're doing. I don't care if you're fucking bowing elk or bowing whitetail. Like, the dudes that work all fucking day and then get outside and get on the tree stand, or the dude that's out there, saved up his money all year, like I do myself, so that I could be out in the woods hunting elk with my own 2 feet. Like, those are fucking hunters. And the world has, the hunting community has pulled the blanket over the eyes of most people, because we just view hunting as hunting. He came out with it. Yay. You know what I mean? Like, right. He did it. But if he was really hunting, would he come out with it every year? I'd venture to say probably not. You know what I mean? Now, if he's a good hunter on his tags, like, and people do. People fill their tags every year. That's because they're good hunters.
Mm-hmm.
That's because they're good hunters.
Yeah, it's so interesting you say that, because even at the expo this last weekend, Cody and I had this conversation so many times in regards to my bison hunt.
Yeah.
It's like...
exactly.
You
grind.
Show you all the videos, like talking to people that are like, what the hell, why not? When you see all the buffalo eyes on, and he's like, once you start looking through all the videos and pictures, it's like, he's like, you can't walk away feeling like you're less of a hunter. If anything, like, dude, you showed me how much more of a hunter you are.
Yeah, it's not always about walking out with it. And I know that's the goal. Yeah, we all, I mean,
my reason would love it. So would my kids.
Yeah, again, it's like we have misconstrued hunting. The hunting community has allowed the misconstrued vision or view of hunting. It has allowed it because we see it as, oh, hey, look, he gets something every year. Fuck, he's good. No, he's not fucking good. He's fucking on somebody's ranch where they're butted up against some fucking piece of property that nobody can fucking touch. The dude has a TV show, a podcast, a fucking book, and I'm naming all people without naming them. Like, the guy has all this stuff. He ain't a good fucking hunter. He's not. And honestly, I'm going to put this in my story so everybody can hear it. And I hope they just fast forward to this fucking part. Okay. Because if I have to be the one to say it for the whole world to fucking hear it, like, y'all ain't that good. I'm sorry, but you ain't. Y'all, and you're not real hunters. I'll show you. I'll show you where real hunters go. And I would love to see you have the same outcome. I want to see that same outcome, because if that is, then man, you're incredible. And you deserve the credibility that you get. Yeah, hell yeah. You see these fucking guys, oh man, I got the one and only fucking tag in such and such state. And I'm like, how is it of all fucking people, the guy with the fucking podcast, TV show, whatever, pulls this once in a lifetime tag, when I know guys that have been putting in for sheep tag, elk tag, goat tag. These guys have been putting in tags for 15 plus years, 10 years. I mean, I was just talking to a guy at fucking SCI who's been putting in for the Montana Breaks tag for 23 years. 23 fucking years. But then I find out that such and such pulls it. Yeah. Of course you're going to shoot something in that district. That's why it's a pull tag. Of course you are, man. Like, and it's like, again, we as the hunting community have allowed that to be okay. We're cool with it. You know what I mean? Like,
I've been talking to like a few of my friends too, like Cody and Nicole and just some other people's, like, I feel like we need to celebrate more the hunts, and the hunts that, even if they're not successul, because there are so many lessons that have been learned on that, and so many amazing memories that have been made, even if there's no harvest, because it's easy on social media to see like someone's big harvest and be like, fuck yeah, and like it and stuff. But I feel like people are forgetting you can be a part of hunting is not.
Yeah. And you know what? And I'll say this too, for all those that, listen and question it for themselves. Like, I film hunts now. That's one of the things that's changed outside of like when we first had our podcast is, I've obviously grown in the hunting industry and working with hunting companies and such. And so, I see this, so I go out and film these hunts, right? And I can tell you right now, I've done a few of them. Some that were like paid for on a ranch, and some that were like on public land, but with an outfitter, right? So two completely different situations. Big, massive ranch, but there's animals everywhere. And then you got like public land with an outfitter. And I can tell you almost right now, I can guarantee that the ranch shoot that I do, they will always come out with something. Always. They will always come out with something, whether it's the deer or the pronghorn or the fucking, the elk that they're after. They will come out with something for that stuff to be filmed and then for it to be used. But at least half of the time when I have been out, where I am out with an outfitter, whether it's in Mexico, Alaska, Canada, the United States, Africa, I can tell you right now, when I have gone out with those people that are using an actual outfitter and they are going into an area that is not on a ranch, and I'm just saying ranch because ranch can be so broad, more than half the time they come out with nothing. and they're there for like 10 days. I mean, I went on a ram hunt one time 2 years ago in Mexico on Tiburon Island for desert sheep. And we were there for 12 days. And on the second to last day, when we were literally going to start walking out, and this guy, like, he's about to eat the tag. Like, he's about to like stir up the tag soup. He shoots this really nice fucking ram. And, but I'm saying, like, and he spent $60,000 for that outfitter to take him there. And it's public land. Like, it's, it's public as fuck. There's not even, I mean, there's not, for those that know or want to look up Tiburon Island, like, it's a beautiful place, and they have a select amount of tags there every year, but there ain't shit out there. It's an island that's right off of the Sea of Cortez. And I mean, there's no electricity. There's no fucking running water. You know what I mean? It's fucking nasty. And here this guy is about to blow a whole tag just for the chance to try to shoot one and possibly not get one. Yeah. Those are the stories that we should be seeing, because every time you watch these guys on TV, they come out every single fucking time, every single hunt. And it's like, I sit there and I think to myself, like, are we all that stupid? Like, we kind of are, because I geek on some of these dudes too, but like, am I that dumb? Yes, I can be sometimes, because the probability of that actually happening and being successful every single fucking time, it's highly unlikely. I go after one animal for an entire month in a year, and I barely do it one time. I've been doing it for 4 years, and that's the first one I've actually put my fucking hands on. That's the first one I've ever sent an arrow at, and it's been 4 years. I've been doing it for 4 years straight, and I've never done it. Yeah. These guys go out there and fucking bow one in one episode, 30 minutes. Come on. Fuck, man. And so it's like things like that. Yeah, it can be a little upsetting, but
yeah. No, I think it's a good reminder for the audience too, because I would like to highlight more stories like that. And yours, even, you know what I mean? 4 years.
Yeah.
And you have the Euro skull on your wall.
Yeah.
Luckily. But you didn't get any meat or anything, because that's hunting. When you hunt gnarly places, you're gonna have gnarly hunts.
Yeah, yeah. But that's what sets it apart in my mind. That's what makes me be like, I try to hold myself to a better standard. I try to hold myself onto a pedestal that is high for me to achieve. I want it to be hard for me to get to. I don't want it to be easy for me to get. And I'm the kind of person, like, if something's super easy, I kind of wear on it kind of fast. Like, for example. So the whole family now, we enjoy snowboarding and skiing, right, during the winter season. It was some work. Nicole hurt herself and all that. But the point I'm trying to make is like, I enjoy snowboarding. I like it a lot, and I can do it really well. But if I could do it all the time, I would immediately just kind of become tired with it. The snow season comes and it goes, so it keeps it fresh. And the elk hunting is kind of the same way. And the kind of person that I am, I have to be. For me to do something continually for an entire year, kind of just makes it, so that gives me that little pedestal of like, I can only do it during this time. So I have to achieve it now, because I don't have a shot any time else. And it keeps me very much attracted to what I'm doing. It keeps me involved in it, because this is the only little time that I have with it.
Yeah, no, I agree. Are you good for a few more questions?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, can't wait to piss people off, David.
Okay, let's do it.
No, I'm sure that enough will do it.
If you follow me, or Cody for that matter, on social media, hell, even just listen to our gear recommendations on the show, you have heard and seen this company numerous times. That's Sheep Feet. Sheep Feet is known for customized orthotics to your feet and your boot. Each pair of orthotics they make is different and 100% custom to each person's feet. Their process gives them a precise replica of your foot, which allows them to make high quality orthotics specifically for you. Each pair is handmade and constructed in the USA. I'm telling you, having Sheep Feet in your boots, you don't know what you're missing until you have them. And then you're like, how did I ever do anything without these? It makes a huge difference to up your gear. And now they have my favorite hoodie of all time. It's been decided. It's official. The Hideout hoodie. You have seen me in this probably too much, but I don't really care. I'm just going to keep wearing it. I have it in black, which is my go-to, and also green, which is perfect for the mountain. I love this for a hunting layer or honestly just day-to-day especially for the gym. The hideout pocket, honestly, is what sold me at first. It is Sherpa lined and also water and wind proof, making it a built-in hand warmer. Mummy likey. Crafted from durable grid fleece, it keeps you cooler when moving and warmer when you're not. It has zipper pockets to keep items secure and a fitted high zip hoodie for added utility. It's real perfect to hide from the wind or just when like you're over for the day feeling a little emo from all the people, but I really do like it to go up high over for the wind, and it has comfortable thumb holes. If you know, you know. This is perfect for hunters who love versatility in a single piece of gear, no matter the season of the hunt. Sheep Feet also released their stealth bombers last fall, and these are the ultimate stalking and hunting shoe. You're definitely gonna want to check these out now before it gets too close to bow season. These are a hot commodity. Plus, they have some other awesome apparel like shirts and something coming down the pipeline that I'm excited to share with you guys when it drops. We've been lucky enough to be field testing some of it. Listen, don't settle for anything less than custom. Be sure to check it all out at sheepfeetoutdoors.com. They have hooked you guys up with 10% off too. Plus, Sheep Feet are HSA and FSA card approved. Go to sheepfeetoutdoors.com and use our code RECKONING for 10% off. Again, that's sheepfeetoutdoors.com and use our code RECKONING, RECKONING, for 10% off your next order.
But I am curious because you have brought up filming. Yeah. And so many people are trying to even just capture their own memories or film their own events. Do you have any good solid tips for somebody that's either going to be like, let's say like Cody and I, right? We're going around, we're filming. What tips do you have for filming or self-filming? Maybe like one.
Yeah. Okay. So self-filming, let's do that first. Yeah. So sometimes, not every time that I was elk hunting or not every time do I go out with sheep, which actually sheep even less. The elk hunting, I try to go out with a buddy. I'll just say that first because the bears and stuff, something happens, it'd be good to have a backup, battle buddy type thing, But sometimes I do go out by myself, and I will. So for like the self-filming stuff, like I showed earlier, I have this Insta360 camera. This is the X4. This is the newest one that came out. Honestly, I'm blown away. Like usually like the GoPro stuff, like the picture's good, but it just never looks as good as an actual camera. And I'm not saying that this looks as good as an actual camera, but what I will say is the quality of it is fucking good. I was blown away by it. I was like, oh, shit. Like, so I've been using it. I got it. I sold my old one, got a new one.
Okay.
Just because the new one just came out and I'm like, okay, let's upgrade. And, needless to say, I took it out a couple times with me snowboarding and I was fucking impressed. The detail is incredible. Yeah, it's really fucking good. So this is the Insta360 X4. And so the Insta360 is known for having that selfie stick that disappears in the image.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you heard of that or do you not?
Yeah, I've.
Okay. Well, I'm just asking.
Told me because I was like, how was he all the way up there? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm trying to. Hold on. I drink a lot of milk. My teeth are good.
You're good.
Yeah. So there's like a little, right?
Oh yeah. Okay.
Okay. So the selfie stick has the same like little attachment at the bottom of it, and then there's a stick. Now the way that it works is, see, there's a lens on each side, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. There's a lens on each side, and what it does is it's taking a 200-degree view of each side. Then what it does is inside of it internally stitches them back together and then cuts out the extra 40 degrees, right? Because 360 degrees is a full circle. So it cuts out that little end of the 40 degrees on the top and the bottom. And because it's cutting out that 40 degrees, the stick disappears, but it comes back together at the end of the stick, which is like where your hand's at. So it literally, so it cuts it out. So it almost makes it look like there's a drone there is kind of what it looks like. But what I do is I take that little selfie stick and I stick it like along the, I have an Everly stock pack. And so I have a frame. So I just like zip tied it to the frame. And then pretty much what it does is it just kind of sits back here. And then I just grab it and pull it up. And then I press start, right? And then it just sits above me. Like it's literally above my pack, directly above my head. And it's seeing pretty much like everything my arms are doing and my feet while also capturing everything around me. And then the beauty of this is, especially with archery, is like, you know, when you go to take a shot, you're standing to the side and, you know, you're pulling. The beauty of the camera is no matter which way the lens is pointed, I can turn the camera and look at exactly what I want it to look at for whatever I'm looking at. So while I'm walking, the camera's looking straight or at the side or, you know, whatever cool view I might be looking at, like the sun or a waterfall or something. And then when I go to take my shot, I can then have the camera turn the view and then look in the direction that I need it. So you see the whole thing. When I used to put the GoPro on my head, when I would go to take my shot with the GoPro, because it's just a front facing camera, it was kind of like cutting off what I would see from the side.
Yeah.
So it never really worked. So having just the 360 camera on my shoulder, I just turn it on. You don't really got to fucking worry about it. It's just like a black thing in the air. It doesn't like stick out or make the elk's like, not like, what the fuck is that? You know what I mean? It's just a thin little rod with a little camera at the top. And yeah, that's what's capturing all my, so when I'm going alone and I'm just wanting to record or like, you know, if I was to capture something cool, I just turn it on and, you know, it's just capturing me where I'm at. That's and cool. Then for, yeah, it works. Yeah, it works really well. The new batteries on this one last like over an hour and a half. Like they're really long batteries. But then for like filming, like if you're doing stuff with people, I would say, and I've always been a big person with a prime lens. So a lens that doesn't zoom. I would say the biggest thing I would tell people is if you're going to film a hunt or you're going to film yourself hunting or somebody's going to be using like, you know, somebody's going to be using like a legitimate camera. If you're going to do that, do a zoom lens. Do a lens that has different focal lengths. Yeah, because, you know, one shot you might want to have a good close shot where it's real like dramatic and romantic feeling depending on the location in the mountains or whatever it may be while the guy's standing there. I don't fucking know, you know, making his food. I don't know. Right. But then there's also those times where you want to really zoom in, get some bokeh in the background, make it look real cinematic, you know, as well as being able to zoom in on an animal, you know, especially if it's about to, you know, if it's about to be shot, whether it's with a bow or with a rifle. I would definitely tell people, like, if you're trying to do something, you're going to want to just have a zoom lens. Like you can have a little prime, like I use this is like a little 50. I like that one. It's real easy. But when I go on these hunts, I have that little 50, but then I also carry, it's a 100 to 500 and it's not very big. It's not as big as my prime. It's, you know, much smaller, but it's definitely the one thing that I've learned because I tried to do it with my big lens and it don't work. It's just not good. Like there's just, yeah, it's just too big, especially when you're out there hunting and you got the guide who's trying to help the hunter. Nobody's really there to help you. So you're like having to mitigate between changing lenses and, you know, and I would also say for people that are filming hunts, like be direct with the people. Like I go on hunts and I tell them like, listen, and I sit down with them and I say like the day before the hunt starts, like on our way there or before we go on our first day out or whatever, I say, listen, you're paying me for this and you've already paid me. If I tell you that I can't see the animal, don't fucking shoot it. Okay. Because I can't turn back. You know, I'm here right now and you're paying for me to be here and you're paying for me to film this. Okay. Most of the time I'm with gun hunters, so they have a little bit more time. But even with the archery, like that's still easy to mitigate in the sense of because the animal is so close, or at least it can be so close. But that's one thing I would tell people because I've had people message me like, oh man, dude, I was filming this guy's hunt and he shot and I wasn't this. And I'm like, bro, you should have told him. And I've told people a few times, and I will say that it did happen one time where I kind of got mad at the dude. You know, I was professional, kinda, but I was honest. I'm like, fuck, man. I'm like, you didn't even tell me, man. Like, I don't even see it. Like, you know, we literally stared at it for about 7 seconds and he just shot. And I'm like, oh, well, like fucking, oh, well, like you're not getting a refund back if that's what you think is going to happen because I'm here. I'm filming it. And I told you, wait for me to tell you like, okay, I'm good. I got it. Like, you're good. You know, I can see it. I'm ready. It's happened. So I would definitely tell people to be assertive when they're filming people on hunts because people will forget that you're there and they'll just like go off and do their shit, which is great. But at the same time, like if you've paid me for this, you're going to want the content. You want the footage. That's why you paid me for it. So be mindful of like, oh shit, David, are you ready? Okay. Yeah, good. Okay. You know? And so I tell people that all the time. Just be assertive as a cameraman because people will forget that you're even standing there, especially in the moment.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
like setting an expectation is super important. And I knew too, like it was things clearly you had talked to Nicole and she's done this a few times because she came
Yeah.
up and she did the same thing. Like, we're going to have a little meeting.
Yeah.
What do you expect? What kind of shot are you expecting? Like when we get there, do you
Yeah.
want kind of in there in the buffalo in the background or just on the buffalo and things like that? And then same thing, it came down to the
Yeah.
like, just, if this is bow hunting. So if you and Cody have to break away and we're like,
Yeah.
we're cool, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
Totally.
at the end of the day, we want it filmed, but we're not going to blow a stock just trying to bring you
Yeah.
in. So,
Yeah. 100%. Yes. And that's what I tell people too. It's like, I know that you're trying to get this recorded, but at the same time, sometimes it might not happen, might not get it recorded. And you might have a whole hunt of you almost getting one, and it happens. And that's just like a part of it, so that's a part of the contract that they sign when they sign a contract for me to do some filming is,
Mhm.
you're going to pay, you know what I mean? I'm here doing it. You
There's
know what I
still
mean?
work.
Now, yeah, exactly. There's still work involved. So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
And packing around a
Definitely.
camera on a mountain is no joke.
No, it is not. It is not.
Is there like a good beginner camera that you would recommend to somebody that's like just getting started?
Yeah, I would go with, so I'm very much into the mirrorless stuff. I use an R5 myself. I'm a Canon guy, which I know we had this conversation before we started talking that like I'm a Canon dude. So I
Yeah.
can only speak for Canon side. I don't have any idea about Nikon or Sony or any of the other brands that have a big name. I've always been a Canon guy. So if it was somebody that like was just getting into it, like they were just getting into photography or just getting into like film and hunts and like they want to have a good camera to have while they're there, not the best camera or just something that will get the job done and get it done really well, I would go with the Canon R. And the reason I say that is because Canon is moving over into the mirrorless. They've stopped doing all of the DSLR type lens cameras, which is their EF line. Okay.
Oh,
So the EF stuff hasn't been made in a while now. It still works with the different mirrorless lineup. It's just not made. It wasn't made for the mirrorless stuff. It looks great, but that's the different time. Now what Canon has done is they've gone to a mirrorless, so it's like a full digital sensor. So back in the day, like a DSLR stands for digital single lens reflex, and so pretty much what it is, you're to look inside a DSLR camera. There's literally a mirror that's in front of the camera, and behind it is the sensor. So what happens is when you take a picture, that mirror flips out of the way, and then you capture your image, and the mirror flips back. The reason why there's a mirror there is because that mirror is reflecting the image that you're going to take up to the viewfinder. It's using one mirror and it bounces into your eye. So it's like using two mirrors. So image bounce to this mirror and then bounces to your eyeball. So essentially like a Z. So in order for you to take the picture, that mirror moves out of the way of the sensor, exposes the sensor to the image, and then shuts. So that's how a DSLR works. A mirrorless camera, hence the name mirrorless, is because there's no mirror. Now the technology, I guess, has gotten so good to where the sensor is viewing the image as well as taking a picture of it. That's what a mirrorless camera does. And so because of that, the technology has gotten better, which in turn means that the lenses have gotten better. So I use RF. EF is the old stuff, DSLR, EF. Now they make RF, which stands, like I said, for the Canon R. And so that RF version is glass that's made for a mirrorless camera. And so I'm saying that because the Canon R is like into the new age. So like I wouldn't tell somebody to go get like an old camera because the technology has already moved way past that, where like almost everybody in the industry has like moved away from the DSLR, the mirrored camera has moved away from that, and everybody's kind of sitting on the mirrorless stuff now because the technology has gotten to that point. So while being budget friendly, but then also providing you with a good quality image and good quality video, I would go with the Canon R just because it's already in that realm of like all the new shit will fit on it. So you can spend like, because everybody knows, and for those that don't know, image quality doesn't come from this camera sensor. The image quality comes from the lens. The better the glass, the better the image. That's why you have camera lenses, like for instance, the Prime that I have, it's like a $10,000 camera lens. It's because that glass is made to be so crystal clear, and inside of it with the nitrogen filling and all that type of stuff, all that shit that they have inside of it makes the image better. So you can buy a really good camera but then buy cheap glass and it'll look like shit. The sensor is only getting the image that you give it. So the glass that quality is allowing to the sensor is going to be reflective of what your image is going to look like. So that's why I say the R, because it's a good quality camera. It has a good sensor in it. But what you should be spending your money on is good glass. So you're going to have everything you need in the camera. It's going to do, if you're starting, it's going to do everything you fucking need it to do in a quality way. But the big impact is going to be where you put the money on in your lenses. And that's where the difference is going to be. That's where you're going to see like shit that looks really good, you know, because you could get the same image quality out of an older camera if you put really good glass on it.
Oh, interesting. So like, you don't necessarily need to upgrade your camera either. Like I have, I don't know, some kind of Canon. Okay. But if I upgraded my glass, that could be
is it like a 5D? What is it?
It says I think mine's just like a Rebel.
Oh yeah. Okay. So again, if you took that Rebel camera and you put my lens on that camera, it would be like, holy shit, that's fucking clear.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. Now the sensor only plays a part with the image because it's when it opens up and essentially like, you know, when the sensor is exposed to light, right? When the sensor is exposed to light, whatever is coming through the lens is what it sees. Now, where the sensor is important is if you're either blowing up your image or taking a picture at night. That's where like you'll see the most dynamic change in sensors. That's where the sensor will make the difference. So some cameras have a 20 megapixel sensor. Let me say it like this. Okay, let's just use this as an example. Let's just say, because it's just to make it broad, let's just say every camera sensor is 2 inch by 2 inch. I know that's not what it is. It's 34 millimeter, but I'm not going to get into it. So every camera sensor is 2 inches. Now, inside of that 2 inches, let's say that's a full frame camera. Okay. So the full frame size is never, ever going to change. It will always be that size, 34 millimeter. And again, I'm not going to get into it, but let's just say it's 2 inches. Whether it is or isn't, I have no idea. Now, the sensor size will never change because that's the standard full frame. Okay. But the megapixels inside of the sensor change size. So if you have a camera that has 20 megapixels, that means it has 20 megapixels inside of the sensor. Now, if you have a camera like mine that has 40 to 50 megapixels, that means they're smaller megapixels, but there's more inside of the sensor. So as you blow it up, because there's more megapixels, the quality of the image will stay because there was more megapixels taking more data.
It's so crisp.
Yes. So as you blow it up, like let's say you're doing something for a billboard or something like that, the more megapixels you have, the better the quality will be as the image gets bigger because there was more megapixels taking in the image. But because of the smaller megapixels, the light doesn't come into the image better. So if you have bigger megapixels, you get better low light quality. So whether you're like taking pictures in a studio for like a portrait, or if you're doing like astrophotography and taking pictures of the stars, you want bigger megapixels because each megapixel will take in more light to give you a better image.
Got it.
But you can't blow it up because you only got 20 megapixels, right? I mean, you can blow it up, and there's now digital programs that will replace any of the image quality that gets reduced because it's getting bigger, obviously to a point. But, you know, you can blow it up, but eventually you're going to see that 20 megapixel image. You're going to be like, that does not look as good blown up as this one does with the 50 megapixel image. But then if you take a picture at night, the 50 one will look like shit. You won't be able to fucking see anything, but then you'll take it with the 20 and it'll be like, oh shit, I can still see like the mountains. I could still see, like, you ever see those pictures of somebody that's like watching a video of the stars go by?
Yeah.
That's done with a camera that has very big megapixels because it's taking in a ton of light. That's why even though it's pitch black out there, you can see like the cactus that's in front of the camera and the mountains in the background still, and it looks good. It's because those megapixels are taking in a lot more light because they're much bigger. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and that's a fucking rant, ain't it? That's a fucking rant, let me tell you. But see, it's like things like that though. Like I never went to photography school or anything like that. So I had to like read and understand like, oh, that's how, okay. And I'm that kind of a person where like when I'm into something, I'll like dive into it and like I'll read all the statistics. Like I just told you about the bear statistics and all that shit.
Yeah.
It has, I mean, it kind of does have something to do with what I do, but I'm just saying like, I'll like dive in and really start to nitpick shit. So yeah.
Totally get it.
Yeah.
Well, and I think too that saying all that, you can buy the nicest camera out there, but you got to know how to run it. And also have an eye for it, because
I don't care what camera you got. Like you can have the badass camera, and take shitty pictures. Like that's for sure. Like and again, the glass is really what changes the game. Like that's really where I tell people like, what camera you got? Oh, I got this. And I'm like, dude, fuck that. Keep the camera, spend the $3,000-$4,000 and get a badass lens. Cause that's where you're going to get the most bang for your buck. That's what I tell people all the time. Get the lens.
Yeah, no, that's good to know. I think that's
After
smart
spending
too.
months on the mountain, hunting, soaking up all that natural sunlight, the days are now getting shorter and colder. I don't even have to tell you this. I personally have experienced that this time of year affects my vitamin D levels to be low, which impacts things like my mood and energy levels, just to name two things. I'm preparing to keep my vitamin D levels where they should be with the help of Mountain Op's vitamin D3 plus K2 gummies. These are delicious strawberry gummies that are a convenient way to help you get more vitamin D intake every day. Adding this to my daily routine has helped me conquer my days, whether I'm on the mountain, in the gym, working, or being a spouse and parent. You can get your Mountain Ops vitamin D3 plus K2 gummies at mountainops.com today. A few of our favorite other things in the cooler months that we love from Mountain Ops are their down jackets, their merino wool collections, their hoodies, the Slumber cider and salted caramel drinks. I love sipping on a warm drink in the winter. And you know we love our deep, restful, rejuvenating sleep. Hydration is also super important in the wintertime too. So be sure to check out their pineapple hydrate. It's the one back there. This is their new flavor and it seriously tastes like a Dole Whip. My kids love this hydrate. And because I just looked back there and I realized what else I have back there, Ignite. Need I say more? Energy and focus. To shop our favorites and help donate a meal to a child in need, go to mountainops.com and use our code BRITT, that's BRITT, for 20% off. Again, that's mountainops.com and use our code BRITT, BRITT, for 20% off.
Speaking of filming stuff, you just filmed or finished putting out a sheep documentary.
Yeah, a mini one. A mini one.
Mini documentary.
Yeah.
I would love for you to tell me like what sparked that.
That's been on my mind for a long time. Like even like around the time when I first spoke to you, I have thought about it. And I think really what it is, you know, I get caught up in things like everybody else. You know, you have, oh, I got to do this and you want to do this, but then it's just like you get pulled in a different direction. It just kind of gets put on the back burner kind of thing. And honestly, I just, you know, my Instagram, it's kind of taking, I don't know if it's taking a different turn, but it's like, you know, I do a lot more than just like go outside and film sheep, obviously. And so I think for the last couple of months, like probably around like November, I think I was just kind of like, you know what, like the Instagram's going to change. Cause I mean, I love filming sheep. Don't get me wrong. I love it. But at the same time, it's also like everybody else, you know, you get bored of doing the same thing. You know what I mean? It's like, I love looking at sheep and, you know, it's great. But I mean, like, how many fucking times can I show a sheep in slow motion? Like, how many times can I do that? Even in my own head, I'm like, my God, I'm just going to post something today. And I don't give a fuck what it is. Like, I'm just doing it to do it. And so I finally was like, okay, I'm going to do this little video and this is just going to kind of be like where in my own mind, I was like, after this, the Instagram is changing. You know, so I'm going to start pushing way more into like the outdoor world, outdoors in general, just like outdoors, as well as being more personable. I feel like that's something that like I would attract a lot more attention and people would be more interested if I actually spoke to people and like spoke or talked. People just see my face and they're like, yeah, that's the sheep guy. Like that's all they know, you know? But I would actually like to say that I got a pretty good plethora of information that I think people might be interested in. So the point of the video was kind of like to do what I said I was going to do, but then also to kind of be like the pivot of like, okay, like this is kind of where I'm going to like, this is where I'm drawing the line. I'm no longer like just going to be posting sheep videos every day. And like, you know, I have a different path that I'm taking. Not that I still won't post my sheep stuff here and there, but it's not going to be just bighorn sheep every single day. You know what I mean? I'm going to come out with a more creative and more like an outside the box kind of mindset. And so doing that video for me was, like I said, it was kind of like okay, this is, I'm going to start it now. This is going to be like the video to cap it all off, because I've been doing this now for 2 or 3 years or whatever it is. And like, all right. So it was going to be much longer, a lot longer. Like I was going to, yeah. Like I was going to make it more of like an actual documentary where it had like length, and I already had some interviews set up with biologists. I had even spoke to, the head of Wild Sheep Foundation about getting him in it and stuff like that. And then I just was like, fuck it. Like, whatever. Like, I don't got time for it, and it's just, Instagram for me has been very much like, I kind of wish Instagram would have got bought or got sold out instead of TikTok, but I can't complain because it is definitely become a avenue of revenue. But needless to say, I said, okay, I'm going to make it, and I'm going to do it real fucking short, and this is going to be it. Because I had never seen nobody like really on Instagram, at least, do an informational documentary about bighorn sheep or the rut. Like, no one. Like, no Wild Sheep Foundation, no like Nat Geo or like anything like that. So I'm like, you know what? I'll be the one to do it. And at least it'll make my page kind of like the definitive page for information about bighorn sheep. And so I put it together, and it was like 2 or 3 minutes long. And honestly, I felt like that was enough to give out the information and give people the feel that I wanted to give them without it being overly long and then somebody clicking past it. Obviously, from the get-go, if you stand there and you sit there and you start watching it, if you're in it that far, you'll stay for the full 3 minutes. But, from the start, I was like, I wasn't really expecting much out of it, but I knew, like, for me as a person, if anybody should be doing something about informational about sheep, it should be me. And so I pretty much told Wild Sheep Foundation, I said, hey, look, I'm going to have a video come out. Like, if you want to collaborate on it, we can. But in my mind, I'm like, I don't fucking need you to collaborate with it on me. Like, I could care less if you want to or not. I'm doing it regardless. I should be, and I want to be like the definitive, and I am already kind of like, everybody knows me as the sheep guy. I run into fucking people all the time, and they're like, I'll be in fucking Home Depot, Target, Costco. I mean, I'm telling you, like, I'll be almost anywhere, at least in the Bozeman, southern Montana area. Oh, it's a fucking sheep guy. Oh, hey, there's a sheep dude. Like, it's just the way it is. And so in my mind, I'm like, it should be me that is the one that has that info video. So when I did it, honestly, I wanted to give people, I like dramatic cinema, the good music. And like, I in my mind, it has to feel that way. So I just kind of came at it with that. And I pretty much pulled everything that I had, which I have terabytes of sheep footage. I have so much sheep footage that I could sell it to multiple companies and they all would not get the same footage. Like, I just picked my favorite ones, which is why sometimes you might see like the same clip of him hitting or something like that every here and there. It's because those are like my favorite shots. I have so much footage of everything from little kids running around to ewes to the rams. Like, all I show on my Instagram is just the rams, but I have learned that I have become more of a storage bank for companies to use my stuff. So now I just shoot everything. I'll shoot elk, cows, calves, bears when I see them, which is very random because I fucking hate being around bears, mountain goats and things of that nature, and they just come to me. Hey, we're doing a ad for this and we need a mountain goat. And I'm like, yeah, dude, what do you want? You want a baby? You want a girl? What do you want? And that's really how, side note of that is like, that's really how I've made my money, is becoming like this directory for animal content. I recently got hired on as one of the contributing animal photographers for Eastman's. And so I pretty much have a Google Drive and it's just filled with everything. And then they just pull what they need. And obviously, they pay me for it. But, that's essentially what the video stuff is me literally just compiling a massive amount of stuff. And that's really how I made my money doing it. And doing it that way has also allowed me to be a little bit more freeing because I don't have to like go out and get the content. I already have it. And not that I'm not going out and getting more, because I am, but having all of it makes it easier. So I compiled all this footage and I pretty much went through as many clips as I could that I felt were like the most compelling clips that I have. You know what I mean? And I have my favorites, and I got some good ones in there that I was like, holy shit, I've never seen that video. Like, I don't remember seeing that, you know? So as I'm searching and I'm going through all this, so it took a couple days, but I finally sat there, I pinned down a song that I wanted to put to it. And I kind of was just like, I was going over the lines, and, you know, Bighorn sheep for me have been very much like a avenue of what's the word? I have emotion over it, because the sheep have really changed the direction of my life. And I never really thought it would be this way. You know, I can think of the times when I was younger. You know, me and Nicole, we've been together now for almost 15 years. So I remember when we were first living in our first little studio apartment outside of Corona, California, and we would drive to Rancho Cucamonga, California, because there's a Bass Pro Shop there. And this was just out of the Marine Corps, and I remember going to it. And I remember we would go there all the fucking time. And it's like, now it's funny to me because I'd be like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? But there was a little restaurant attached to it, and it was called the fish market, I think, if I remember correctly. Either way, there was a restaurant attached to it. So I would go there. You know, I'd take my girl out to dinner. We'd get like something, and they always had fun, good food there, like crocodile chicken nuggets and like, you know, really cool stuff. Ostrich, you know, chicken legs or whatever. I'm making stuff up, but you get my point. It was like fun, gamey type stuff. And it was like the only place. So I would take her there for dinner, and then we go walk around the store. I can't tell you how many times I've walked around that store. I fucking probably could have started working there and they'd had no idea. Okay. So we'd go there all the time, obviously because the food was good, but it got me into that like feeling of the outdoors. You know, they got the little fake mountain in there with all the mounts, and, you know, they got all the elk and like deer and all that shit. They got a little fucking, you know, little aquarium and a running river with fish in it. It just has that feel. We all know what those places are like because we've all been to them. And so I would go in there, and it's just like, I would think like, man, like how I would love to be a part of that, like to live out there like that and to have access to that, you know? And then now, as I was sitting there and I'm writing the lines for this little like mini documentary, you know, I'm sitting there and, you know, I get a little teary eyed, you know, cause like I'm sitting there and I get a little choked up a couple times while I'm sitting there talking about him and stuff, because I never thought that from where I was at, I would be able to experience where I live now and to be like, dude, I fucking live here. Like, this is where I live. Like, if you look out my window right now, if I could turn this camera and like show you what the front of my house looks like, you'd be like, no fucking way, you know? And so, I got a little teary eyed because I never thought that me just filming sheep, you know, would put me into this pool of what I was so wanting in my life, but I just couldn't have living in Southern California. You know, all of our families in Southern California, and you know, the draw that you feel like you have to be next to your parents. You know, I love my mom and dad, but fuck that. Like, I have no fucking I'll never fucking leave Montana ever again. Like, I'll never leave it ever. And so, being there and sitting there as I was writing the stuff and realizing, like, you know, how much I know these animals to the point where some of them have names for me. I have videos of some that have started off as like little babies, like 3-4 years ago. And now they're like full, like 4-5-4-year-old rams, you know, and they're like starting to like get into the mix a little bit, like wanting to butt heads to like see where they're at in the picking. And, I just sat there, and a couple of times, like, I don't want to say I didn't cry, but I definitely was like wiping a tear away, because it was like, here I am going through all this bighorn sheep footage that I've taken all over Montana, you know, and now I'm going to do a little doc for it that I've been wanting to do for a while. And yeah, it might not be like as cinema as I want it to be, but I mean, you know, if anybody should be doing it, it should be me. So as I sat there, I'm writing these lines, and I'm just a little bit, you know, kind of like, what's the word? Like, gratitude. I had a lot of gratitude. Like, I feel happy. Like, you know, and I'm standing here in my office. Even now, I feel like I get a little choked up. But I mean, like, you know, here I am standing in my office. I got all my shit. You know, I got all these fucking racks of antlers that I find from being in the mountains all the time. And it's just, you know, and so I wrote it, and I felt like I wanted it to be as compelling as I could possibly make it, you know, with information that was striking and grabbing, and like with obviously footage that would pull you in. And so it really came together better than I thought it was. So I get the first one. I get like the first like let me show Nicole copy done. Right. It's like on my computer. And like, I bring it up and like she sits down in that chair behind me and I'm sitting actually right here and I'm kind of like sitting off to the side. I got the thing turned so she could see it. And I got a Bose sound system under my screen. I'm the kind of person like I have to feel the music for me to like really get into it. And obviously I could assume that probably from a lot of the stuff that you see me post, you figure that he's like super deep into the music stuff. So like I have to feel it. So the music's like super fucking loud and like, I play it, and she watches it. And so I'm watching it and I'm like trying to like keep myself from crying only because again, this is very personal for me. Every single one of those shots is me. I remember the moment. I know where it's at. Like I remember what it took to get there. I remember everything about it. And so either way it ends and I turn back and she's like, and she's like, oh my God, that was so good. And like, she's just like ramping it up and I'm like, okay, so it's pretty much ready. So I kind of like, I go through and I, color grade it and make sure the everything is where it should be and as best that I can and I don't have like, I use Final Cut Pro for all my video editing and stuff like that. So, but I don't have like super special shit, I don't have like, some cinema, whatever. Like I got the basic shit, you know what I mean? Like the good stuff, but the basic shit. And so I put it out there and I was really happy with it. And honestly, a lot of the messages that I got, it got reposted for Wild Sheep as well. And I felt like, I want it to be in my mind. I just kept telling myself it should come from me. The info should come from me. I got nothing against anybody else, but like, I didn't want Wild Sheep to do it. And for the longest time, that was the only thing that was in my head. It's like, I don't want somebody else to do this. I want it to be me. David fucking did it. In these mountains, the sheep guy, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Like, he's the one that did it. And so it was when I finally put it out, for me, it was kind of like, okay, done. That was the one thing. That was the one little fucking thing that I felt like I had to do before I like pivot and I start going into more of the outdoor stuff and like, more into the hunting stuff, like, and I'm honestly like, I know it's going to sound funny, but like, a lot of my followers, at least more than half are of the hunting. So I was doing like the analytics and stuff like that on my page. And more than half of the people that follow me are hunter outdoor based. So in my mind, I kind of told Nicole, I'm like, look, like at this point, like I said, I wish Instagram would have got fucking bought and like stopped. It does make money, so it's hard to complain. But at the same time, I fucking hate it just like everybody else does. I really do. And so I told her, I was like, honestly, when I pivot and I start doing different type shit, sheep will still be involved, but that's not going to be the focus. I said, I'm prepared to lose like fucking half. I really don't fucking care. Like I'm prepared to go down. If I lose, I lose. Because in the end, it's like Instagram might be the portfolio, but I've already established myself to be somebody that can be hired. So I'm not like worried about it. You know what I mean? Like the Instagram has done what it was supposed to do, which was you look at it. Wow. Obviously the numbers make people stay because they see the numbers. So like, okay, it must be good. So I understand that aspect of it, but I've already done work with enough people for them to look at it and be like, okay, let's hire him. Yeah. He'd be a great cameraman. You know what I mean? Which is really all that I do for people anyways. Like I don't even edit the stuff. Like unless somebody pays me extra, do I even edit it? Most of the time I'm being paid as the cameraman to go to then send it back to the person who's editing it for the client, because I don't want to edit it. I don't fucking feel like going through all your shit and adding music. Yeah. I'll do it for people that are close. Like for instance, like when Nicole did yours, in those situations, totally fucking different. But for just some guy who's like hiring me or, even maybe for some of the people that I know, I don't edit. I don't want to fucking edit it. I don't want to. So, it's pretty much done what I've intended it to do. But like I said, I just felt like putting that video out was like the final, like, I don't want to say I've capped it off.
It's like a tribute for everything that's built for you guys.
Exactly. I've been filming sheep now for almost 4 years. And I can tell you right now that putting that video out has been on my mind for a long fucking time. And again, it was just like, I'd get caught up or something would happen and I just wouldn't, but in the end, I just feel like, it had to be me. So when I had the time, I got guys working on a job site, I'm kind of at home during that week. And I was like, you know what? Like, this is it. I'm just sitting here. I'm going to the gym once a day, for doing my little hour thing. And then I come back and then that's pretty much it. Like, there's no reason why I can't do this now. So I told Nicole, I was like, I'm going to set up all my camera shit, bring out the lights. Like, we'll do the interview part, and I really just focused on it. And I was glad that I did it because now the Instagram's going to kind of, and it's not even that it's going to take a different direction. Fuck. The amount of questions that I get.
Going that way though.
Yeah. And it's like the amount of questions that I get anyways, even now, like, dude, what do you carry in your pack? What kind of pack do you use? Do you carry a medical kit? What's in it? What kind of socks are you fucking wearing? I'm telling you, I get every question. And so that just tells me that I could be so much more broad because I know people are asking all the same questions. You know what I mean? They're all wondering, maybe not all, but a lot of people wonder the same thing. Like, oh man, I wonder where he got that holster from.
Yeah.
So touching into more of that.
Hire someone that's not a hunter currently.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And when I get a lot of those, oh, hey, I'm doing my first elk hunt. Me and my dad got a tag, or, coming to Montana for elk hunting. I got the tag this year. Like, what should I bring? I get that stuff all the fucking time. And not even just for elk too. Like, oh, hey, have you ever done any gator hunting in Florida? And I'm like, actually, yeah, I have, cause you mentioned the alligator earlier, but it's like, don't wear your good boots because you're going to be walking in the fucking swamp. I destroyed a brand new pair of chenilles doing that, but it's like, all this stuff. And so it's at a point now where I did what I was supposed to do. Mm-hmm. That was the culmination of talking about them and giving you that one thing that, because nobody really fucking cares about sheep when they're just walking around eating grass. The only thing they're known for is them button heads. So I wouldn't really do it about anything else. It's like, how many times can you show sheep in a documentary eating grass? You can't. You see it once and then you're flipping on to the next one. So I knew that that's what it had to be. And so when I finally did it, it was just like, okay, I did it. Done. Not that I'm done with sheep, but I did what I was supposed to do for the sheep in this section of time. I've accomplished that. So now let's let's start being a little bit more broad. Let's bring the other things in that I do, because I get people that ask me all the time on that. And I just felt like it was time to just, open the door into another room. Keep the other door open, but just open the next door. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. No, Cody and I watched it. We were laying in bed and he's like, have you seen David's documentary yet? We're both in there just, you had us. It was cinematic enough, David. And we both just had chills, and we're like, it was just silence watching it. It was
good.
A really cool experience. So you did a fantastic job.
I'm glad. Yeah, I that's the effect that I go for. Yeah.
Good. Yeah. No, you hit it right on.
Good.
So you've mentioned the direction you're going to start to kind of go in. Yeah. What is it that we have to look forward to? What adventures do you have coming up? Tell us all the things.
So I recently partnered with Cryptech. I've also partnered with, which I do work for Stealth Vision. I do all of their content creation, but this year, hunting wise, going to be doing some, I think, more on a personal basis this year, hunting for me, as well as obviously filming hunts that I have coming up this year. I got 2 hunts. One of them isn't definitive yet. It's in April. It's actually for a spring bear hunt in Alaska that I'm supposed to be filming. And then there's also another one in August. And then I also have a few people that have messaged me for their hunts that they have coming up, but actually during the main hunting season. Yeah. So, and then that's where I got to gauge it too. Cause it's elk hunting for me is important. Yeah. I don't want to go I don't care about your fucking elk hunting. I love whoever you are to death, or I get nothing against you, but I'm trying to do me too. Mm-hmm. So again, I have to kind of gauge where they're at and when they are. But I have that as well as, so I'm just kind of my plan is to start bringing the product as well as outdoor information more to the forefront of my page, as well as just being more fucking personable. Because sometimes, man, I tell you what, I can people can ask me a question and I can really answer it for them. And it's why would I not just put that in a video? Mm-hmm. And everything being so professional, the way my page is set up now, it's very professional. It almost looks like a portfolio. Not that I'm going to get away from that, but there's going to be a little bit of a change. You know what I mean? It's going to change a little bit because I want it to be more of a personable thing where people are when he says something, I can trust what he says because he believes it. He wears it himself, uses it. I'm not the kind of guy to be oh yeah, give me that. And then I'll use it for the video, but I'll never actually fucking use it. That's not me. if I'm using it, you know that it's been used, it's been worn on, it's been beat up. You know what I mean? I know that it works. I stand behind what I say because I'm using it. And so, but that's kind of like this year, I'm going to kind of push more in that direction. And that's kind of like, honestly, where a lot of my year is kind of set up of like diving more into my actual, like in these mountains life, not just the sheep of in these mountains. You know what I mean? Because I'm in the mountains. I was just having this conversation with another company actually yesterday, and I'm not going to say who it is, but I was having this conversation with another company. It's like, you know, outfitters go out in the mountains a lot, you know, but they're not out in the mountains all year round. You know, I go out whether it's snowing, I'm out in the spring, I'm out in the summer, and that's for filming sheep. That's for just being outside. And so I spend a lot of time outside, and you know, a lot of the knowledge that I gain is simply just by me fucking being outside and being like, oh shit, why don't I have that? Or, oh fuck, do they make that? Or finding somebody that does, or going to get it and realizing why I need it. And I think a lot of that information, if it was put out to people, might save people from being in a situation, or if they're coming to Montana, what they need. You know, like I was planning on doing a video like Montana elk gear layout. This is what you need. Boom, 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 boom. And then that's the video. Like something quick, you know, like giving people that stuff that, you know, yeah, of course they like seeing bighorn sheep, but I mean, you know,
Yeah.
wouldn't you rather like know what you need if you were going to come over here and go hiking for a week, like, or something like that, you know? So that's kind of my plan for this year. That's kind of where I'm pushing all my stuff, you know, pushing in that direction.
Yeah. Oh, I'm excited for people to get to know you better and see that side of you, because you are like so full of knowledge. And if you don't know, like you're going to look into it, like you said, and dive in and learn.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're an OBS guy for sure. So
yeah. Well, I try. I mean, I've had my whole life, you know, getting beaten around the bush with everything. And I'm, you know, rather just be direct.
Yeah.
Does it fucking work or does it not? No. Okay, good. So then let's go to the fucking next one now. Like,
move on.
Yeah, that's it. Like, you know, and like, I always try to find the good in things. Like, you know, can I make this work for me, or, you know, whatever it may be. But like in the end, you know, the mountains for me is a very real place where you can die. You know what I mean? And I've been in a situation before where I'm like, dude, if I didn't have this, I'd be fucked right now. You know, like this would be a lot more difficult than it would be. So the stuff that I use and the knowledge that I try to bring, at least for myself, is very much about like life and death for me, you know, because where I go, whether it's filming sheep or shooting elk or whatever it may be, you know, at least where I'm at, you know, it's a very real situation. It'll be like 60 in the afternoon. And then all of a sudden when you're walking back, it'll fucking snow. And it's, you know, if you're not prepared for that kind of stuff, like you could really find yourself in a place where, you know, you're kind of wishing you weren't there, you know? So I have to be no BS. You know, it's just straightforward. Like, is it good? Is it not? Does it work? Does it do what it's supposed to do? Will it save me if I need it to? You know, and trying out different types of electronics, whether it's the Garmin Messenger or the little Garmin thing with the antenna on it. Like, you know, and it's things that people ask me all the time. So I think it's something that people want to hear. They're just not hearing it. So they're just like, okay, well, they just kind of move on and, you know, they like the video. But what they're really wanting, they're wanting more meat out of it. You know what I mean? They want to like bite into something. And that my goal this year is to like really give more of that.
I'm excited to see that transition. And I know everyone else is. Do you want to mention the hats at all? I see you.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, So
what?
like, honest. So it was just a short like run. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, like, see, and then there's things like that because I had a lot. I mean, I literally sold out of them. I bought them all and I was like, I'm just going to make 30 hats and I'll make them in white. And then I had all the ones in white get bought. And then I was like, okay. And then I was like, well, what if I did one in black? So let me try one in black. And it really just ended up being this thing where like, now I have people that'll message me and be like, hey, do you got any more hats? And I'm like, no, I don't, because I don't want it to be, at least now, God, I don't want to have to start packing hats and like packing packages and getting into the fucking post office. And like, you know, as much as it might increase more money, of course, I mean, that's the goal, right? But, you know, it's also about like how much I'm willing to dive into it, you know? Yeah. So it's fun to do. Like, it was fun. Maybe I'll probably do it again at some point because I get people asking me all the time. Yeah. Keep an eye out because honestly, I'll do it and then I'll run it in my stories for a day, and then that's the only time you'll see it. But yeah, I don't know. I've had people be like, "You should bake some like sheep clothes." Say that again.
It's like the black. I didn't know you had them in black.
Hey, by the way, I got your husband's hat.
Oh, you did?
Yes, I got it. Yeah, I got it. So I'll handle that. But just, yeah, thought I'd throw that out there real fast. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, if it in the future becomes something that's permanent, like maybe, you know, as of right now, I have so much on my plate already. Having to even say like, oh, now I got to start packing hats and worrying about people's fucking orders and money involved. Like, it's like,
I know. No
maybe
thanks.
not. Maybe not.
Yeah, totally get that.
We'll see.
Well, in case someone has listened this far and has no fucking idea where to find you.
Yeah. No, they're like, who the fuck is this guy?
Who is this guy?
Yeah. So my name is David Martinez, and I have an Instagram called In These Mountains. I mainly film or have filmed, at least on Instagram, Bighorn Sheep. A lot of people know me as the sheep guy, but that's who I am.
That's where you can find him and all the stuff, and then see what he has coming out.
Yep.
The transition that he's making as far as all the information he's going to share with us. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
So then I'll know what to bring when we come visit you guys one day.
Yes, exactly. Or yeah, you could just text me and I'll let you know.
Yeah,
you can just text us.
I'll watch anyways.
Yeah, please.
Awesome.
Yeah, ramp up them views.
Thanks for taking the time to chat.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I knew I could chat with you all day long.
Yeah, it's all good.
But I can't wait. We'll have to catch up after maybe next season and see how you guys do and what Nicole does too.
Yep, that sounds good to me.
Okay, awesome.
Right. Okay.
Thanks, David.
Yeah. Bye, Brittney. I'll talk to you later. Take care.
You too.
Bye.